Hi everybody, my name is PJ Sabbagha. I'm the Managing and Founding Director of the Forgotten Angle Theatre Collaborative. The Forgotten Angle Theatre Collaborative is an organization that in the current year, in 2023, is 28 years old and started off as a urban contemporary dance company, and now for the last 8 years has been based in eMakhazeni, Mpumalanga, really as a rural community arts center focused on working with young people in community arts. So the vision and mission of Forgotten Angle is something that I wrote and designed in 1998 when the organization was registered. And it speaks primarily to how the arts and culture can be used as a catalyst for personal and social transformation, and how we seek to engage the arts as positive, constructive agents for social change, and that the arts needs to really engage in being socially responsible. And so really that is our focus in all the work we do, is how can we be socially responsible? How can we speak to the complex issues around us all the time, whether it's youth unemployment, job creation, the climate, the environment, HIV/AIDS, gender-based violence, a whole range of issues, creating access. And as the organization has matured over the last 28 years, we have moved closer and closer very steadily towards our vision and mission. So Forgotten Angle was founded in 1995 when I was a young artist. So shortly after I had graduated and spent a year working at Rhodes University. And then I moved to Wits University, and I was a movement and dance and choreographer lecturer, teaching first, second, third and fourth year students. And I was also an artist who was practicing, who was making work, who was exploring my voice as a choreographer. Particularly really interested in social issues. Some of my early work, kind of at the end of apartheid, was about race, was about gender, was about conscription, the military program of the country. And so I was really interested in these critical political issues that were confronting young people of all races in the country. And so I established the Forgotten Angle as a student-based organization. So it was an organization that worked with other students in the Wits School of Arts, in the Wits Drama Department, talented students who wanted a performance platform. And it gave me the platform to create my work. So I was able to create work with talented young artists and create semi-professional work. That's how we started. And then it quite quickly grew and to attract more and more professional artists. And so quite quickly we became almost exclusively a professional organization, which then had education and development components. And once, after many years of working a full-time job at Wits and running Forgotten Angle at night, so we used to work from 8 in the morning to 5 in the afternoon at Wits, and then at night from 6 to 11 at night. That was our day to get Forgotten Angle on its feet. So it was really tough times. But we started to generate income, we started to raise funding, and then we could slowly move away from the institution and set ourselves up independently. And that's really where the organization started. It started as a company that created innovative, thought-provoking, challenging contemporary dance work in a theatre for theatre audiences nationally and internationally. So as an urban contemporary dance company, the environment really began to shift around 2011. And that was a big shift in the funding landscape, but also a big shift in our own landscape as an organization, where we began to struggle with the ethics of spending vast amounts of state funding and public sector funding on theatres, on events that only had a very small audience. So it really felt like the work that a lot of urban artists were doing was inaccessible to a larger population. It was housed in big fancy theatres in the centre of Joburg or in Sandton, and so the majority of South Africans don't have access to those spaces for whatever reason. Apartheid era planning, public transport, infrastructure means, and the cost of getting to the theatre means that people can't be there. And so we began to explore this idea of becoming more rural. We did a lot of programs in different provinces, Limpopo, Free State, Northern Cape, Mpumalanga, and we ended up back here. This is where we are now, is our family farm. So it's a farm my parents have had for 40-something years. I kind of grew up here, and I always felt like I wanted to do something beautiful and special here. I never knew what that was until it became clear around 2013, 2014 that we need to move the organization here, because here we can have a more meaningful impact. Here we can reach people on a more personal, intimate, direct way, and we can move more closely to our vision and mission, something that was articulated 20 years before. And so in 2015, we moved here and created this space, studio, the deck, accommodation. This was a private investment, so it's no public money, it's no private sector money, it's personal money that was used to build the infrastructure. And we moved and built the infrastructure and built the program at the same time. We just packed our stuff and we came. And from that point, we started building a range of programs. The first of which, and I like to think of our programs as a series of concentric circles that spiral out from our home base. So our home base is this place on the farm. We call it the Ebudlweni Art Center, and it spirals out. And the most immediate place is ourselves. So I am the center of the program. Myself, my own development, my personal development is at the center. And so the personal development of other young people, young artists, young choreographers, young administrators, young agriculturalists, they are the center of the program. So the way in which we train and equip young people to go out into the world and to make a mark, to make a difference. And there are a range of programs we run that work at that level. So we have what we call a community builders applied arts training program. This is primarily for dancers and choreographers. It's partly accredited through FATChas, partly not accredited. It equips performers, choreographers, arts administrators. We have an internship that works across administration, agriculture, and the arts. And all of it is about equipping young people to deliver services to immediate communities. And so the next circle of our program is about our immediate communities, the immediate communities of eMakhazeni. And at that level, we have different touch points. The first is what we call our local education in arts program. And that program is a program that works primarily with children and youth, and prior to the pandemic with disability centers. And so what happens in that program is the young people who are trained on site go out into the community and offer arts and dance programming for personal development and technical skills development for young people. Because we believe really strongly that in the arts lie a whole range of skills, implicit, so soft skills, behavioral skills, and explicit, the hard skills that can shift people's lives. And so we want to see how we use the art to improve the lives, or to support the way in which people improve their own lives. And then the next part of that kind of immediate engagement at a local community level is what we call our Angel Project. And our Angel Project is fed literally from our agriculture program. So the agriculture interns here on the farm are growing vegetables, organic vegetables, producing produce. And then we have an Angel Project network, which is our network of 95 households, 400 plus individuals who are food insecure. And our produce gets distributed directly to those people every month. In addition, the Agri program works to try and support local gardeners, so people in Mtonjeni or on the farms, to set up their own vegetable gardens so that they can grow their own food. So we really also see this idea of growing people through the arts, growing food security, emotional security, creative security as intertwined. And then we start to stretch out a little bit. So our next is thinking about our provincial landscape. And our provincial landscape we are servicing through our work as the Community Arts Centre Support and Development Programme, implementing agency for national and provincial departments of arts and culture. And here we work to offer skills programming and funding to other community arts centres around the province. And this is a really intense, demanding program, but it's also moving us closer and closer towards what we believe our vision and our mission is. And then finally moving further out is a program that cuts across everything, which cuts across local, provincial, national and international. And that's a project like My Body, My Space, which is a public arts festival that unfolds on the streets of Emakazeni in public spaces, but brings together side by side in we see it as an act of democracy. So we don't want to create hierarchy. We don't want to say an international artist is more important than a local community artist. We program people next to each other. So there's no main program, featured artists, high profile artists and community artists, no. And everybody gets paid the same. So people are put at exactly the same level. Audiences are exposed at 1 minute to a leading South African artist and at the next minute to a gumboot group from Sakelwe, for example. And so this for us is an act of democracy, but also an act of talent discovery, of generating new content, of creating new markets, of building profile for artists. And so that's how we imagine, visualize. We have a visual map of our programs and the way in which they spiral out and interact with each other. So programs are not standalone things. LEAP, so that's the local education in arts program, is not separate from the internship, is not separate from My Body, My Space. All the programs dance with each other. So our work as implementing agency contracted in a tripartite agreement between the provincial department, Mpumalanga Department of Sports, Culture and Recreation, and the National Department of Sports, Arts and Culture, really came as a bit of a surprise, actually. We have always been engaged in some way with the Community Arts Centre unit at National through Ma'am Susan Selepe. And our work is that of a community arts centre. Although we are not based in a community arts centre, so to speak, our work is defined, if you want to define it, follows the principles of the programming of a community arts centre. We offer a range of programs in communities on a regular basis. We engage communities, we deal with community issues. And so in 2021, we were approached because we were compliant. I think that was the big reason, because we had our compliance in place, because we had a track record, because we were well respected and well known by both departments, to serve as the implementing agency for the delivery of the province's strategy around community arts development. So really how this works is the provincial department, all its managers and all its regional heads and officials sits together and design a strategy with an attached budget. This is then approved by the national department, and then we are contracted to deliver that. And so while we are delivering the program, it's really on behalf of the departments. And so it's a really valuable experience for us. It's demanding, it's challenging, it's a big project to deliver. It's stretching our capacity, it's forcing us to grow, but it's also forcing us to well, not forcing, but it's supporting us in building relationships with community art centres all across the province. So I mean, we're now in our third year of implementation, and there's one more year to go. We look forward to seeing what the two departments, decide is the future, and what the rollout of that will look like. So dance and creativity and creating of new content and exploring creative expression and excellence through the body is really at the DNA of FATC. It's where we were born, and it continues through all our work. And currently that has found expression through different programs. So for example, through our Community Builders Arts Training Program, our dance internships, there's a strong focus on technical development as well as choreographic development, research, how to develop, conceptualize, create, perform, present new work. I sometimes still make work, other members of the organization still make work. We are, like all other artists in the country, involved in applying to festivals, trying to find mobility. We don't automatically have mobility for ourselves. We have to seek the opportunities to find mobility and to keep moving the creative work forward. We also run historically, and we are beginning to reintroduce residency programs. So that means we create the space through our facilities and through our programs to invite young artists to be in residence. So they come and live here for 3 or 4 weeks. It's an opportunity for them to engage in their own creative practice, their own expressive research, and to share it with the other people around. So with the other FATC team members, with the local youth. So we like to think about process, the act of making, as the product, not what the outcome is itself. So not the thing. The final show is not the real product. The real product is what I do while I make. The process of creating is a product in itself. Over the years, there have been many young people. Sure, it's difficult to even grab names. But probably 150, 200 young people, and that's just over the last 10 years, who have been through our skills development programs. And the skills development programs, like the leadership program and like the current arts administration program we run now, our training programs, are focused at equipping young people with the creative, but also the organizational and management, fundraising, reporting skills to go back into their communities, their respective communities, whatever that is, and to try and forge new ways forward. What sets us apart from? It's an interesting question, because I think we're always searching to find ways to be apart from, which means better than or different to or what. And so yes, we all need to find that unique USP, unique selling proposition. I think part of our uniqueness is that we're a professional organization, that we have a long history, that we have many awards and almost a 30-year history at our backs, but we are living on a farm, we're serving rural communities and serving the best quality work we possibly can at a rural level. But in doing that, in that uniqueness, we want to be a part of, not apart from. And so I think that for me is really important, is our work is about how to be a part of, not apart from. And I believe that's why we have a name called a collaborative. We believe in collaboration, we believe in partnership, we believe in ecosystem, we don't believe in ego. We don't believe that any one person is more important than anyone else. We believe that in order for us to thrive, everybody around us must thrive. And so that, I think, is unique in the environment, because our sector is very ego-driven. It's very driven about stardom and how do I get famous and how do I, how can I be better than the others? but for us it's about how can we work together in a positive way to build things together that support all of us. So our work at a local level and our partnerships with local groups, local community members, local schools is primarily through our program which we call Local Education in Arts Program, LEAP. So the acronym LEAP really kind of stands for what we see the arts ability to do is to help people leap into a more positive future, jump into a more positive future. And the program is based on research we are constantly doing that we did before we started the program. So we did baseline research to say, we met lots of young people and said, okay, what are the issues? What are the challenges? What do you feel? We feel isolated. We feel betrayed. We feel like people just drop in here and do some stuff and go away. They parachute in. We need more sustainable work. We need to build trusting relationships. So those partnerships are based on all of those things. How do we build trust? How do we build a sense of belonging? How do we build a sense of value between people, between organizations? How can the arts add value to what is happening in a school? So how can we demonstrate, and we do this through our monitoring and evaluation processes. If we're working with a young person, we will do an M&E, so monitoring and evaluation, in which we interview the young person, the teacher, caregiver, parent, to assess what is happening in the other areas of the child's life. Oh yes, they're really enjoying and they're inspired by being part of these classes. But also what we are noticing are they are more diligent at school, they are doing their homework every day, they're helping with chores around the house, conflict in the household has diminished because of the child's attitude, sometimes even school marks are improving. And so these are impacts we measure and we are very aware of, and we try and amplify. So we also are really mindful that in the exposure to the arts, amongst all of us, maybe 1% is going to be a professional artist. 1% of us is going to make a career out of the arts. But the rest of us, the other 99% of us, are going to just really grow and become better versions of ourselves at all levels as a result of the arts. The way we interact with other people, the way we think about the world, the way we think about other genders, other races, the way we think about the environment, everything can be improved and grown through the arts.
Hi there, dope, hot and fresh. My name is Athena Mazarakis and I'm a facilitator on the Youth Arts Leadership Program presented by the Forgotten Angle Theatre Collaborative and Edward Looney Arts Centre. I've been a facilitator of this program since we founded it back in 2015, I think it was. And my role in it is primarily, I serve multiple functions, but really I offer the embodied or somatic learning that happens on the program, which means that before we start each day, each session, we come together and we explore the concepts, themes and ideas that we're tackling through our leadership modules. But we do that through the body, through action. Why this is really important for me, so my background is in movement, in choreography, in physical performance and in somatic practices, embodiment and mindfulness practices, is that often the body reveals things about us that we aren't even able to put into words yet. So we learn things when we are able to observe ourselves doing things that we aren't even aware of yet in our conscious mind. So I design a series of exercises where through the doing of them, sometimes they're games, sometimes it's playing games, like in Module 2 we play the zombie games where we learn about the dynamics of teams. Through the doing of those exercises, we're already starting to tackle some of the learning, and importantly, we're noticing things about ourselves. We're noticing and observing what our patterns are, what our habits are, what we lean towards in our engagement with others, in our relationship with others, in our relationship with the world. So the movement exercises aren't just there as a warm-up, as we often have in arts practices. It does that as well. It helps us focus, helps us energize, it helps us connect to everyone in our group, but very importantly, it also and this is its primary focus, it also really gets us in touch with ourselves and gets us noticing things about ourselves, that we go into the rest of the sessions already doing this work of self-reflection, of critical engagement. The ability to notice something and then put it in words is a critical part of what we do, and it is a critical part of how we create change for ourselves as leaders, as human beings in the world. The embodied work we do, the work through the body, the somatic learning that we do, also includes very practical skills that the leaders can take home with them. So these are skills around how we down-regulate or regulate our own nervous systems through practices like breathing, breathwork practices. So we draw heavily on science, on neuroscience, that shows us that when we have regulated breaths, we can regulate our nervous system, which means that we can get ourselves out of a panicked state, out of a fight-flight response. And we are then able to think clearer, access our cognitive functioning, access the ability in our brain to dream, to vision, to imagine, to be creative. Because when we're always in this state of survival, which many of us are stuck in, it's very hard to come up with new solutions, to come up with creative ways forward. So these practical tools of breathing, for example, are practices I'd love for the participants to instill in their everyday lives so that they have them to draw on, that they are able to, in their everyday lives, work from a place that is not panicked, that is not coming from fear. But even though we are all facing challenges daily that bring us into that state, we have the skills to bring us into a much calmer space where we can negotiate with others, we can communicate with others in a much more regulated way.
In 2024, I can't quite believe it, we celebrate 29 years as an organization. We also celebrate 9 years of My Body, My Space, which is a really amazing achievement. So we are fortunate to have a little bit of funding through NAC PSP, and in March, as a kind of human rights focused festival, human rights, climate, environment focused festival, we will be presenting My Body, My Space from the 11th to the 16th of March. The first week, the 11th to the 15th, is really what we call our arteries program. So if we think about the body, all the stuff that's the blood vessels that circulate the oxygen and the nutrition around the system, is a program of work in schools and community centers. It's education focused. It's focused on activation, on bringing the community and young people alive through the arts. And then on the 15th and 16th, we have a beautiful program lined up of artists. Because our budget is really tight, we have focus on Mpumalanga and Gauteng-based artists, because we don't want to be spending a huge amount of money on airfare and on travel. We rather want to be spending money on people, putting money in people's pockets. So paying artists salaries as opposed to paying for an air ticket. So it's been quite a tough decision, but we have got a really wonderful lineup of beautiful artists from the province and from Gauteng, many partners, Sabbagha Art Center moving into dance, lots of independent artists, a few internationals. And for those people who have been to My Body, My Space will know that it's a free festival. We tell you where we start, and then we go on a journey together. We walk the streets of the township or the town together, and we view art and we see things unfolding in public spaces. And it's really an act of community. It's an act of seeing things together in public spaces and sparking conversation. And then we'll see there are some other festivals lined up for us as a performance company. So that's the other part we are trying to activate about ourselves, is getting back on stage after the pandemic, presenting our work in professional spaces. And then we have our internships and our training programs and all our other programs that just keep rolling. Inclusivity and access is like our most foundational block. It's the piece that we have built everything we do on at the moment. So moving here and initiating this broad range of programs at various levels of communities, the province, locally, was all about inclusivity and access, was all about how do we make sure that more and more and more people have access freely to the arts. So we think about both geographic and financial access. We've got to move the art out of the traditional structures of theatres, museums, galleries that are inaccessible, and move it into places where people are. Instead of trying to get people to come to the art, take the art to where people are. And in this way we begin to create access. Well, we are investing in access. There's not much money to be made in access. But maybe if we all invest in access, we can find a place for the arts in our contemporary culture, so that people grow up with the art, with art around them, in their schools, in their community halls, on the streets. And in the future they will become consumers, and in the future they will be people who will want art in their lives and pay for art. So that is our purpose. We do, everything we do is about how do we create access. If there's a barrier we observe, a financial, a structural, infrastructural, a barrier that we observe that is preventing someone or a group of people from participating, what can we do to remove that barrier? If it's an individual that is a gatekeeper, if it's a municipality that is an obstacle, what can we do to agitate, to ensure doors open so that people have access? So the training and the skills opportunities provided to young people, and particularly young aspiring artists and arts entrepreneurs, happens in different ways through our program. So we have our internship, which is part of the first job program. And this program creates first-time employment opportunities, one-year contracts, as well as training for young people. We offer accredited dance training, FATChas accredited performing arts training, and then also through our youth arts leadership program we offer programming at a broader provincial level, historically at a national level, but currently at a provincial level, which is focused on arts administration, arts management, and the business of the arts, really, entrepreneurship in the arts. And then as well, in support of that program is an accredited arts administration program. So people get credits through the FATChas. Our ultimate dream and what we are really trying to get towards is being able to offer full qualifications as an organization, so that we can take young people who are aspiring artists, aspiring administrators, even people who haven't finished their schooling, who have come up against the barriers, and that's an access barrier. You know, the collapsing school system is a barrier to access, a barrier to the access of education. How can our programming in education, in accredited education, help young people move into the professional system, move into further education, move into their own careers as artists? So technology is always a really interesting conversation, and I'm going to look back at where we were in the pandemic. So where we were in my body, at least in COVID. So we had received funding for My Body, My Space, both from the NAC, but also from DSAC through MGE. And then suddenly the pandemic hit, and it was probably the biggest budget we'd ever had for My Body, My Space. And we, like the rest of the art sector, were searching for like, how, what now, where do we go? And we thought, yeah, we could do a YouTube, we could do this, we could do a fancy website with high def videos, what? And then we thought, but hang on, do people have access to data? What is our mobile network like? Is there enough bandwidth to support high def, full length films at a community level? No, there's load shedding. All these issues became, again, barriers to access. So if we are thinking about technology, and this is how we like to think about technology, is to think about low def, cheap, cost effective, small units, a few megabytes here, a few megabytes there, that can be WhatsApp, that can be shared. And so we created a whole festival using a chatbot, a WhatsApp chatbot, where people could access free of charge. All they were paying for was the WhatsApp. Small pieces of art nothing more than 1 minute long, nothing more than 16 megabytes, but you could watch a whole festival in 16 megabytes. So in 16 megabyte pieces, you could watch 100 different artworks. And so that for us became a model that we have tried to take forward, that we equip young people through low def video training, how to shoot a short film on their cell phones, how to edit on their cell phones, and we've got little training modules for that. As a professional dance organization, since for the last 20 years we have been integrating multimedia. So we have used video, we have worked for collaboration between different artists, dancers, visual artists, videographers, musicians, actors, to create innovative new work. Also, we see our agricultural program and the way it meets dance as an innovation. So while there's no technology involved, the technology is that of the soil. So the soil is the innovation. So sometimes innovation doesn't need to be about high tech. It can be about low tech. It can be about simple, cost-effective, easy, accessible solutions to problems.
My name's Cara Tapson and I'm from Seedling Stokvel, which is a organic sustainable farming program, and I'm here at FATC. We are busy doing our 3rd year of training for the agricultural project with this year's team, this year's cohort. So this is our small-scale organic farm where we teach the basic principles in organic small-scale farming, which is mainly focused on soil health and environmental stewardship. So what we train here is for the learners to really learn the crucial importance of soil health and how that impacts the health of people and the health of the planet. And so we use that foundation to teach cultivation of organic crops, which this team then weekly distributes into the local community to help supplement the diets of those who are maybe not able to afford as much fresh produce as they would like to. So we started this project in 2020 with the first phase, which is the Garden A over there at the back. The second phase was Garden B, which is the second section. And then this year's team have started with the cultivation in what's called Garden C, which is this section. And over the last, today is the 3rd day of this phase of the workshop. What we have done over here is continued focusing on compost building, compost harvesting, and we are setting up the next phase of the project, which is this phase over here. So we teach this method by a traditional organic farming method, which is specially used for small-scale farms, called the trench bed method, where and you'll see as you go through here, all of our beds are this certain shape. So it's a 1 meter wide bed you can choose how long you want the bed, but we dig down for about ½ a meter deep and then actually build compost heaps under the soil, which is a technique used to create like a super boost of nutrients into the ground. So this method is suitable for small scale because it's very labor intensive. And so the team works very hard to create these beds and then to maintain them throughout the year. And then another addition to the project has been the hothouse, which is our greenhouse over there, and that we are using for seedling and small plant cultivation. Yeah, 2020 to 21, and then 21 to 22, and 22 to 23. So in here we teach seed and seedling propagation, as well as how to make cuttings from the herbs that we have here in the garden. So at the moment we're just sort of starting the next phase. All of the seedlings that were grown here have already been planted. But here we did our own seedling medium. So that's sifted compost, which we add a little bit of river sand to. And then we use these seedling trays and then our seeds to plant in here. And that's also, we do that as part of teaching crop planning, so that the team can really understand the concept of starting from seed all the way until harvesting. So it closes the loop.
Sanibonani, igama lami ngimkhuputso Bridget Sithole. I'm an agri-intern. Lana ngisebudlweni waterfowl farm eseMachadodorp. Ngisebenza under i-Forgotten Angel collaborative. Le eqasha ama-interns ayi-12 every year. Ngicale this program ngezi-3 July 2023. Izolasta 12 months, which means izophela end of June next year. So into engizifundile la ziningi kakhulu, and I'm gonna just name a few. Ngifunde ukuthi save njani i-soil, like how to make a healthy soil and how to create healthy plants to feed healthy people. So sikupa ama trench, something like this. Sikupa ama trench to feed the soil. So ukupa ama trench kwethu kumele si include ama organic matter, green matter, brown matter, and also sticks. So and another thing sifunda golana is how to sell our vegetables. So sifunda entrepreneurship, like how to plan crop planning and how to also do a budget for our crops wakho. And then into engiyibonako engiyithola engayisebenzisa ukuthi ngifundise abanye about organic gardening, save earth. So we're learning about biodiversity, saving the earth, creating habitats for ama insects azosiza nathi ukuthi sikhone ukukhulisa umhlaba wethu ube healthy. And enye into esifunda engiyithola ukuthi ngahamba ngifundisa ama neighbors wami ku community, like avoid i-food insecurity, ukuthi babe nama backyard gardens. Lokho kuzosave kakhulu, ngeke basebenzise imali, and futhi singakhona nokuthi after babaqeda ukuplanta bakhona ukuthatha ama seeds wabo from their garden bakhona ukuplanta wona. Ngaleyo ndlela basave imali. And another thing engifundile ukuyenza i-compost heap le esiza ukuthi si-fertilize i-soil yethu ihlale i-healthy njalo. Ukuqedelela i-garden yethu sizokuba ama-trench right here ukuze ukuthi ingadi yethu ikhule, sizokhona ukuba na more vegetables to feed the families esiwapha ukudla eMachadodorp.
Impact and measuring success and results is always a very important part of the work that we all do, specifically in the non-profit sector, because we are funded, and so we seek to address certain issues through the funding that we receive, and we measure our impact through looking at what is shifting in the local community. So through a very obvious one is job creation. How many jobs are we creating every year? How many young people are being supported? How many young people then graduate from our programs and are able to find their own employment, or who are able then to fundraise and generate their own income, or start their own programs? How many young people become our competitors? So we're already seeing that a lot in this province particularly. We are now fundraising alongside our graduates, people who have come through our CAC program, our leadership programs. We are competing, which is a really great success. It's a challenging success because it means we now have to compete with our graduates for the same amount of money, but it tells us that there has been a success. It tells us that our programs are successful because our graduates, people who have been through our program, are fundraising, they're raising money, they're running successful programs, they're building their reputation. So that's kind of at an educational level. And then at the kind of broader, for example, the local community level and the local economy level, we try and estimate and measure and calculate what is our economic impact. So when we do a festival like My Body, My Space, what money does it bring in to the town? How many jobs does it create in local B&Bs or in local hotels? Even when we run our training programs and we're bringing a whole lot of people together, we are supporting local tourism establishments. We are giving people money and they go buy food at a shop. So all of these pieces have an impact at a local level. So for young people who want to engage with us or become part of our community, the most important, our most immediate communication pathways are our social media, or through Facebook or Instagram. You can find us, the Forgotten Angle Theatre Collaborative. And if an opportunity emerges for an agricultural internship or a dance or an admin, we advertise there. If an opportunity emerges for a training program, we advertise there. And we generally run free and open recruitment processes. People submit their information, submit their CVs, and then we start a selection process. Otherwise, there are events like My Body, My Space, which we have open calls, which means anyone can apply. Through our CAC support, the Community Arts Support Program for the province, the most important route in there is about community arts centres engaging their local officials, because the local officials are the people that bring the names to us, bring it forward. So to be part of those programs, it's build a relationship with your local officials. And beyond that, build a relationship with us. Reach out to us, send me an email, communicate with us, and build a relationship, and we will share information as it becomes available.
My name is Nicholas Isham Apani, originally from Sinotlelo in JS Morocco district, Mpumalanga. Currently working here at Forgotten Angle Theatre Collaborative as a choreographer, as a dance facilitator, as a operational as well. So what happens through the FATC programs, I'm operating that. I've been in the industry for more than 18 years now. So I first started in a program that FATC as well is implementing around Emakazeni. It's a learner education in arts program. It's called LEAP. We go around different locations and we teach in dance. I'm from that background as well, but from the dance factory, because I grew up in Johannesburg. So every after school I'll go to the dance factory and get knowledge about dance from PJ Sabbagha, for example, because I know him for more than 22 years already. So it's been a long time that we've been working together, so from a young age until now. So the importance of dance is it's life lessons, and it's the skills that you never forget, because punctuality is one of the skills that you get through dance. In order for you to be on time, you need to be there. It's almost like school. So anything that you do, it brings life's lesson. So, and it has alternative career if you don't wanna be a policeman, nurse, or whatever that you want to do. So in terms of dance, a lot of people don't think dance is a career they cannot follow. They look at it in more like a hobby, something that you do after school or extramural, but actually can follow as a career. That's how I started, and that's how I am right now. So I pursued it, and this is where I am right now. But it all started from being a hobby and being a profession. So now I've studied dance overseas in Belgium, in an institution called PATS, Performing Arts Training Research Studio. It's in Brussels. It was a 4-year course, so I managed to graduate and finish it. So there's a whole lot of opportunity beyond what we consider as a hobby, but it's more a career, and a lot of opening across the world, they're there. So movement is what we do every day, but then how do you translate it to dance? It's something that a lot of people haven't tapped into it. So walking, if you think about it, it's dance. So the way you walk, slow walk, fast walk, it's all dance. If you put music to it, you see that it's actually manufactured. It comes to life as dance. So I would encourage a lot of young Mpumalanga to think about alternative career as dance, because dance is more, you can speak without words, so you can express yourself without words. Like singers, when they sing, they express themselves with vocals, and then actors, when they act, they express themselves in words. So dance is non-verbal communication, so you can still express yourself, but in a different way. Like painters, how they visually express themselves through painting. So there's a lot of career that you can follow that is the one that we already know, your soldier, your police. I'm not saying that I'm against it. I'm just saying that because there's a lot of unemployment, if you think that you don't have a chance to go to police or a nurse or other career that are more expensive to go for, you can go for arts. That you have dance, you've got fine art, you've got drama, you've got music. So I would encourage more people to go through that. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Monges Makarima. I am the chairperson of the Forgotten Angle Theatre Collaboration, but I'm also the lead facilitator for the YALP program. We call it the YALP, which is the Youth in Arts Leadership Program. And the intention of the program essentially is to help young leaders develop competencies that are required for modern leadership, especially leaders in the creative sector. But more than the skills, it's really around driving a shift in mindset and understanding something different about the leader themselves, so that they are able to respond to any situation regardless of context. Well, so the impact that we are looking to create, particularly on local leaders, is first of all for them to take up their role as leaders within communities. In many ways, you find that people are waiting for a messiah who comes from out of somewhere to come and rescue the community. But the work really, the smartness really lies in the community, and our work is really about inciting and instigating that awareness, first of all. And then, of course, then giving leaders tools to be able to work with the newfound awareness so that they can galvanize that knowledge into very impactful programs that don't require us to continuously come and intervene. So essentially we are creating ripples of leadership by actually planting a seed that hopefully grows and impacts everybody else across the communities. Are there any challenges in integrating arts, agriculture, entrepreneurship, and leadership and business? No, actually, because at FATC, that's kind of how we're thinking. Perhaps the challenge is to get people to understand that approach at the beginning, because at the beginning, when you come in an integral or integrated approach, it seems to catch people on a bit of a back foot, because there is a bit of an expectation that you're going to do step 1 and step 2, and you're going to apply, and everything happens by steps in analog. But we are an integral organization. So from the beginning, when COVID hit, for example, we didn't wait for someone from outside to tell us how can we integrate what we are teaching with and what we are doing, because it's not just about teaching, there's also performing and implementing, because we are still a functional performing arts organization. How do we integrate everything that we are learning ourselves as the board? We shifted very fast to say, what's the need in the community and how do we address that needs? That's actually how the agriculture program came through. Food and people. We can't be inviting people to come and enjoy the art when people are hungry. So we had to think a little bit about that. So the challenge though is that sometimes maybe we are too fast and agile in how we shift. And then we kind of have to slow down a little bit for people to actually catch up with how we are thinking. Yeah, the question then around how do we make sure that that adaptability and agility happens is the question that actually is a global question, right? Because everybody has essentially that challenge. But I think it's pretty much the same principles that we are teaching on our programs. First of all, having people to remember what their intention is. So our intention in coming, particularly as an organization, and coming to Mpumalanga at first was very clear in terms of what we are trying to do. Out of forgotten spaces, we do find greatness. So that continues to guide us in terms of where else is greatness lying, where else are forgotten spaces that we are not talking about, and then continue to find forgotten practices that we could actually leverage on to be able to do what we need to do. So that then means this is also what we then try to infuse and teach in communities with people in terms of adaptability is not about reaction. It's about responding in the context of your vision or your purpose. Yeah, how do we measure all of this stuff? I can tell you the critical piece, at least for me, but I think the board shares this quite a bit, impact. It's good and well that we run a lot of these programs, we get a lot of funding, we get a lot of this, and we run systems, but is the behavior changing on the ground? That's the critical piece. So when we look at the LEAP program, for example, which is our schools program, we have people actually coming to the program. We have people actually telling each other about the program, and we get feedback about parents who then talk about how their children have shifted and changed and sometimes seduced to actually wanting to be not just in the creative sector, but think differently as a result. They are inspired. That's important. For many of for the YALP program, for example, which I'm intimately a part of, almost every person, I think about 70%, 75% of the people that actually get out of the YALP program implement something of significance that changes and shifts. They actually have some of them global impact, because right from the beginning we are interested in people implementing more than people just listening to us teaching. It's not about us being smart. It's really about people taking what we teach and then going to implement.
So I can only urge, all I can do at this stage is encourage young people and aspiring artists, or even young artists who think they are not aspiring anymore or are established. And I think of myself like that as well. You know, I've been making and performing and presenting and what for 29, 30 years, and I still feel like I'm aspiring. I still feel like I haven't got there yet. I still feel like I'm a teenager. And I think that is really important, is to view ourselves as always ready to learn, always open to learning from younger people, from older people, from our peers, from our colleagues, and never to enter the world with the assumption that we know. I think it's a really dangerous position. If you feel like you've got this, you know this, then I think you must give up and you must go do something else. Go find another pathway, because then you are going to stagnate. Then you are going to get stuck in your ways. You're not going to grow, and you're going to become totally uninteresting and uninspiring. Commit yourself to growing. Commit yourself to finding opportunities to grow, whether they are formal opportunities, informal opportunities, mentorship opportunities, conversations with your colleagues. Challenge your own views of what you think it's about, and try and reinvent yourself all the time, reinvent. So you can find out more about us on our website, www.forgottenangle.co.za. Our Facebook page is probably our most active social media platform, and that's Forgotten Angle. There's My Body, My Space Public Arts Festival also has a Facebook account. And then FATC, FA Collaborative is our Instagram profile. And we're generally sharing the same content across Facebook and Instagram. And you can email me on pj@forgottenangle.co.za. Our contact details are also on the website. So to the viewers of Dope, Hot and Fresh, you know, keep watching, because it's inspiring that other young people or other artists in the province are unearthing and shedding light on the amazing work that so many people are doing everywhere around us. And we don't always see it. It's got to be shown to us, and platforms like Dope, Hot and Fresh do that. Everywhere around us, there are incredible people doing incredible things. So we may get down by load shedding and water and no jobs and all of this, but you just have to look, and everywhere around you there are amazing people doing incredible things, and Dope, Hot and Fresh is a platform that is going to share those stories with you. Thank you everybody, cheers and stay in touch.